Welcome back, Pisces, to Pisces TV with Dr. MD. This is the Daily Vibe for the collective, Sun, Moon, Venus, and Rising, wherever Pisces may fall in your chart or in your environment. As we get started, please take a look in the description box for all of the information regarding purchase, booking, products and services. The tarot class begins on January 4th. It is self-paced, so if you're interested in learning tarot or starting your own channel, give me a shoot. Holler at me. For all of my returnees, I appreciate your continued support. What was that? We got two kings here. I do appreciate all of your support, the way you show love to me, the channel, and to each other. As we get started, check out the singles reading if you're interested in that, and we are going to go ahead and get started. Now, the extended to this video is made available to my sharks. I have a few polls on the community board, so very essential if you want to be a part of the collective. See what you guys are interested in. Content on the channel, products in the stores. What signs are you guys dating? What questions do you have? I like that. So if you hadn't already, an added attribute to subscribing would be so that you can register to win. I do a lot of giveaways, contests, and we have some still going. So it's not too late to register to win your free reading. Look on the community board for those specials. And let's go ahead and get started. We are going to do, I see euphoria. Okay. The current situation. The challenge or obstacle, because a challenge doesn't always mean a negative. Well, none of them are negative, but it could be something about the current situation. I'll say that. And then possible outcomes, the road to take, what you need to know, advice. And we'll get into the spread, clarifiers, and pick a card in the extended. So let's see, what do we have for Pisces? What's most important? What's the energy? What's the energy for Pisces? I have mirroring, solitude, romance, manipulation. Okay, I got too many. So let's try that again, Pisces. Who's up for romance or harmony? Let's just say that. And then there's some strings attached. All right, so one card for the collective. Okay, I'll take sparks. Now, what about those sparks do we have for my Pisceans and cross watchers? You are welcomed into the channel. Okay, a little bit of confusion. Maybe we don't know everything. Okay, I like that. Know your worth and patience. All right, I think it's something that you want, and we ain't taking anything less than that. That's what I got. I like sparks. It reminds me of the 4 Wands. You guys had this before. Planning an event. Oh, we have the New Year's Eve party launch for all of the students that are launching, and I don't like to call them students, they're graduates that are launching their own channels and stuff. So if you're interested in just meeting some more of your Pisces, we do have that event. Maybe you're planning your own event. Some sparks may be flying. Now, for the last couple of months, we've been talking about the 2 Wands and the 2 Wands and something about things coming together. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be a fated event. Okay, so then I like these. I like the current energy. I like the possible outcome. But then here we have the star. And then we have a possible challenge. Avoiding chaos and confusion and the shadow aspect. Now, because this is general for the collective, this could be self. I don't think it's your ego, your person's ego. I don't think anyone's causing confusion. This reminds me of like your energy, vibration, perspective, how you see things, reading between the lines. And then here we have ego, which is coming in the form of the shadow. So that could be the only hiccup. Let's read from the guidebook. But I like that. Look at the incoming and the outgoing, and then it's just this, right? So we're going to talk about it. I know you guys are sitting like on the edge of your seat. We're going to talk about this thing that comes together. A lot of you should be feeling that now. If not the actual thing within itself, or the relationship, or the business, or your life, you should be very optimistic about it at least, or maybe you're planning for that, and then here we have fate and we have dream come true. So I ain't even say nothing about the dream come true. So it's like fate. It's like inevitable, but then there's this, right? So here we have the number 17, ego, right? The ego can project and sabotage simultaneously. So it talks about fear-based decisions, beliefs, and I can see beliefs because you have 32 in confusion. That's a 5. So I kind of think of the Hierophant. Self-sabotage and worry about others' opinions, and then shadow work comes here, which could be necessary, or could be something that you've been working on or may have worked on in the past. The symbol here where it talks about the shadow is symbolic of the shadow side of our personality that each of us have. Okay, the things we cannot see about ourselves. It is important to understand the side of ourselves versus acting like it doesn't exist. The ego is also looking to protect itself and at times operates from a place of fear. The shadow also symbolizes being scared of your own shadow and living in a very protective way. The shadow in this card is about addressing, learning, and working with our own shadow. So see how that isn't a negative aspect, that isn't shadow work, but it's more so just saying that to rid yourself, I feel. Getting into your true identity, not being afraid of who you are, your full potential, and how that affects others, right? Whatever you think you are, or thought you were, or who people thought you were. This is being released from that, some sort of confusion. Could be in your environment, in your energy, within you. Could be an outside influence, but we'll get into that deeper. And I like the way ego presented itself, where it said it's not a negative aspect. It's just an aspect of you, and probably an aspect of you that has something taboo kind of tied to it, or like I said, that we often neglect, or an aspect that gets into savage mode, because I did see the King of Wands, the aspect of us that, does thing out of fear, or kind of like, how do I say it? Something that's not well thought out or planned, and you do something just, sporadically, and in an energy of, I don't want to say being defensive, but kind of like, this isn't a chess move that I've thought about how it affects, my next move or whatever. This is just me reacting to something, okay? And then we have confusion. So confusion is the number 32. And it talks about, and for some of y'all where it says know your worth, we have friendship here and communication, okay? But focusing on confusion, it says unclear communication, mixed signals, uncertainty, too many options, contracting actions or statements, anxiety, feeling puzzled, mental stress, two people on different frequencies. And see, it doesn't have to be two people. It can be two aspects of you. And it also talks about that shift too, because we're talking about different frequencies, shifting up your frequency. And then if this is like one of those cosmic galactic type messages where there's this shred of the ego when in this phase of self-mastery that gets you beyond, the mundane, it's a process. It's part of it. And even the most, bossiest, I was going to say swaggiest. Now I sound like somebody's mama for real. But even the most influential, independent of person, authoritative of person, when you get to this higher level of self, you still have to go through this analysis and this situation, this, this thing with ego, because I hear it a lot. I don't care if it's Tesla or it's just some self-help books or occult anatomy, esoteric knowledge, whatever the case may be. There's always this death to the ego type of energy, and I appreciate Jay-Z for kind of putting that out to the inner city youth that didn't have access to a lot of spirituality or support in that section. So I always kind of go back to where I first was introduced to ego, and I watched someone's spiritual growth and all of the avenues that they kind of took to get into true self and all of that kind of stuff. So, if you listen to Jay-Z or follow him as a person, you see, much like the current owner of Tesla's company, who's a billionaire, second richest person in the world, and then my boy Jay-Z, who I'm talking about, who also made it into billionaire status. That thing, you don't have to be urban, a rapper, or an entrepreneur. It's just whatever your thing is. Those people seem to surpass, like I said, the mundane. And if that's the word I'm looking for, it sounds good, so I'm gonna keep saying it. But that's what I mean, to get to higher self, right? And then consequently, those that reach that, even if money isn't their objective, they still find this higher purpose, this higher self, this higher truth and higher knowledge. And it's just a process, right? So I kind of like it. It's not a thing, it's just a thing. But the static on the TV or radio is the ultimate symbol of confusion. It's loud and annoying, frustrating, and you just want to make it stop. Immediately we feel the need to cut it off or change the frequency. See, some of us, now my boy Nipsey stepping in, where there was I like music, so I connect that way. But he kind of was the first person that introduced me to changing the frequency. And it didn't have to be some spiritual hocus pocusy, too out of this worldly. It was very practical and realistic when it talks about switching up the frequency of yourself. Because, we are the energy we exude. So it's like who you are and the vibration you're on, attracting things like that. So for some of you, this fate and this dream come true happens. How long it takes, the path, and what's along that path could be also calculated in this. So the advice and kind of avoiding some of you can avoid the lessons, but I feel that there could be less confusion and things could be more comfortable on that path. When you're attracting things that match what you truly want and who you truly are. I'll just say that. So sometimes the confusion sparks the need to gain clarity, and other times you're meant to surrender to this gray area. So look, we have sparks here. So something is being sparked, which this card says that there's also something to be gained. And clarity, and surrendering to the gray area, which the gray area could be the shadow or the unknown. It's up to you to make this distinction. So Pisces, we're going to talk about this distinction, this clarity, this spark, this dream come true, and what lies within your fate. How about that? If this is where we leave off, definitely appreciate you guys for sitting in. Those of you that would like to join us on the other side, the link to Patreon is in the description box. And I will see my shark members momentarily. Namaste.